I'm Sarah Crowder, and I am a teacher and a student right now. This morning I ran into one of my students and they asked me, "Hey, Mrs. Crowder, are you done with that Ph.D. thing?" No, I am not. My Ph.D. just started in August, and it's actually a 7-year program. And so just a quick run over of what my Ph.D. is all about. It's a doctorate of philosophy. It is also something where I'm going to have to learn 3 languages in 3 years. The first is German, the second will have to be Latin, and then the third is to be determined. Probably French, but I'm not sure. We'll find out. I also have to take 2 classes each semester for the next 3 years. And so all of the classes are going to be online until we have a 2-week intensive in the second part, or the B part. So in January, I'm going to be at the seminary for 2 weeks. And then in June, I'll be at the seminary for 2 weeks. Well, we'll do these intensive classes for 3 hours every day for 2 weeks. And I'm really looking forward to it. So I thought it would be fun to kind of give a little update. This has been my reading so far, plus a lot of articles. It has been a challenge managing my time, but I thought maybe I'd share 3 tips with you of what I've learned from my PhD so far. First, I have learned how to study. Something that's been really interesting is learning things that you would think you know how to do automatically. One of those things that I learned while doing my master's is how to read academic sources. I love to use YouTube videos, and so I will look at techniques and tips on how to improve my reading. Something that I like to do when I'm maybe reading a new philosophy book. The first thing that I always like to do is read everything that's on the cover and everything that's in the front and back, if there's any like dust jackets. And I also want to think, I wrote here what I was looking for my paper, because my professor had a particular thing he was looking for me to read. And so, like, for example, on this one, it has all these lists of these people. So what I did is, even before, I wanted to give my brain something to kind of think about as I was reading it. And so I read all of these names and looked them up on the internet to find out when they lived and just like a quick little bio about them, so that as I was discovering them as I read, I would be able to learn about them in a deeper way. Another thing that I do is I always read the back first. I don't do this when I'm reading fiction, but I like to read any kind of like author information, because that's where some of the secret sauce is. When the author is giving you kind of like some notes about his research, or who he interviewed, or the notes to the notes. Because the footnotes is where the fun is. And so you have to go to those footnotes and kind of dig through them. And so for this one, I remember the bibliography was quite interesting on some of the sources and why he chose the sources that he chose. Then the next thing I do before I even start reading it is to kind of give especially a physical book, I go through and I read every page. I look at it and I highlight all the bolded text. If there's pictures, I'll look at the pictures and read the titles. And any subheadings or any quotes, I look at who is he quoting and what's going on. And so that way I kind of have a sense of what the whole book is. When you're reading academically, you're often not able to read the entire book word by word. And so you're looking for key themes. And so getting that outline first is really, really helpful. And so then when you have like certain things, and this one was all sorts of, I got the bow tie diagram, which we talked about in class. I put a big bow tie here because this is exactly what we talk about in class. It was actually really exciting, talking about the centrality of Jesus, and I wrote the bow tie and I was circling things. And so I like to take lots of notes on the page. I usually like to do stars. And if it's something that makes me really happy, I like to put a heart. That's just me. But anyway, so doing time for research is important, and just grinding every day. Do you know what video helps me really get excited about doing a advanced degree? Is understanding the idea of education like a video game, and just understanding the daily grind of leveling up myself as a character, and just knowing that those kinds of tasks just level me up and prepare me for the future, and kind of giving little, kind of like mini goals in the game where you have like levels that are divided up. And so when I have a big paper, I don't just go for the big paper. I break that goal down into smaller goals, and I think of it as leveling up. I don't know, it just kind of helps me. Another thing that's helpful is to change my environment when I study. I have a very kind of morning ritual that I really enjoy, where I light candles and I have a fire and it's very cozy, and I play my relaxing music that I play for my students as well. But when I have a lot of work to do, I like to put in a good 3 hours at a favorite coffee shop. I really like Pete's, or finding a coffee shop. It has that really kind of fun vibe, and it helps me be focused on my work. And I use a Pomodoro technique of 25 minutes on, 5 minutes where I stand and stretch, and do a little Pokemon Go. So that is how I've been doing my studies. The second tip is failing. I failed. I am taking German right now, and I had my first test, and I failed my test. I knew I was going to fail. I was expecting to get like a 50% on this test, and I actually got a 58, but I'm not proud of it. I think it's important, though, to know I'm going to struggle with things and not to give up. And so I'm not giving up on German. It just kind of told me, you need to spend more time on German. And so I've doubled my time, and I've even started doing more GIM kits because I know that that's something that really helps my students. So why wouldn't that help me? And so I've been using the farm chain mode and the fish mode. And I've actually, like literally the metaphor of a video game is actually in real life with GIM kit, where I'm almost to level 60 on GIM kit and flexing with all my cool GIM skins. But it's been fun to try to really memorize this, and also asking for help. And so I've talked with my professor, and I'm reaching out to some other people. That has been really helpful. So I know that I'm not gonna be good at I'm not even good at saying the sentence. Being successful at my PhD doesn't mean every step is going to be easy. That if failure is going to be part of it, and I have to just learn from it. And also just like taking these classes and writing these papers, there's always a little bit of like imposter syndrome of like, I don't really deserve to be in this space. But it's nice to have people supporting you and helping you. And that goes to my third point for today. Something that's been extremely helpful is to connect with other people. I think that the pandemic taught us how important it is that we are social creatures and to connect with others. And so what I did for my classes is I emailed some of my classmates and asked if any of them wanted to do a study group. Ali Abdal had done a video talking about the importance of study groups and like actually sharing notes and collaborating. And one of my professors for my Reflections of Reformation History encouraged us to do this. And so I reached out, and we meet on regular Zoom calls, and we'll share what we found interesting, or if we have questions, we'll ask those questions. And sometimes we just listen to each other process it. And so working with my classmates has been really great, and it will be nice to kind of know them when I get to class in January. And especially with German, when I was at Here We Still Stand in October, I was asking anybody, does anyone know German? Can anyone help me with German? And actually, junior fellow at 1517, Philip Bartelt, who's pastor in New York City in Brooklyn, he said that he would help me. And so that has been amazing. And so he has been helping me, giving me practice, showing me kind of the internal workings of how he does translation work. And so that has been a really amazing thing. So something that I really want to encourage for my own students is to find your people that you enjoy working with or helping, or if you helping other people learn is the best way for you to learn. And so I just want to encourage you guys to be doing that in your own learning, that sometimes you're going to fail and sometimes things are going to be hard, but when you're doing it with other people, it feels less stressful. I mean, there was a time where I had even forgotten to turn in my paper the right way. I had emailed it to the professor, and then one of my classmates emailed me and was like, oh, hey, did you turn it in on the program on Blackboard? And I was like, oh my gosh. So it's been really helpful to collaborate with others. So I hope this is encouraging. I'm not sure if you really love the PhD content. Let me know if you think you'd like to see more of this, but I am not done. I've got way more to go, so it'll be hopefully before 2030, probably 2029. Some of my students will probably graduate from college when I am getting my PhD done, but it is a lot. It is something I'm really excited about because I want to share the gospel of Jesus, and there are some stories from the 16th century that are still in German and Latin that I'd like to tell you about. So I gotta get those muscles ready. And so I'm just excited to tell those stories, to share some gospel stories about what Jesus has done for our salvation and how it affected people in the 16th century and how it's important for us today. So I'm going for it, and I hope that this video will be an encouragement for you.